These films are frightfully funny. Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 hilarious horror parody movies.
Is it clear?
No.
How many?
Lots.
For this list, we're excluding movies like Scream, which deconstructs the horror cinema genre, but doesn't directly parody them in an overtly comedic way.
There are certain rules that one must abide by in order to successfully survive a horror movie. For instance, number 1, you can never have sex.
Number 10, Tucker and Dale vs. Evil.
You guys, going camping?
Appearances can be deceiving. Tucker and Dale vs. Evil follows two friends who are mistaken as psychotic backwoods killers by a group of college students. An unlikely string of accidental deaths only increases their suspicions, as well as decreasing their numbers, and leave Tucker and Dale baffled and trying to keep it together.
Doesn't matter what happened, what matters is what looks like what happened, and what looks like what happened is pretty nasty.
The ever-popular cabin-in-the-woods setting and deranged hillbilly stereotypes are beautifully skewered in this movie, driven by increasingly violent misunderstandings and dark comedy that plays out like the goriest farce ever staged. For genre enthusiasts who have somehow missed it, consider this mandatory viewing.
You say you were just working when this kid ran up and stuffed his head into that wood chipper?
That's a fact.
That is a fact.
Number 9, Behind the Mask, The Rise of Leslie Vernon. Set in a world where slasher movie killers are real and even a pseudo-profession, Behind the Mask, The Rise of Leslie Vernon follows a documentary crew interviewing the eponymous aspiring killer as he takes them through his purported origins and his meticulous process for murder.
I can't just sit here on the first night I ever met you and explain it to you. It's got to come from your own understanding of the process.
The deadpan, awkward humor is a nice departure from more traditional horror comedy. And there's a wonderful contrast between traditionally filmed horror scenes and handheld camera work and interview scenes.
While they regroup, I have a short window to prepare for when it all gets outside. Then I work my way back to the front of the house. And here's where the timing becomes critical.
Plus, there are some appearances by established horror icons like Robert Englund.
Why are you following this girl? Who are you people?
We're just sitting here, man.
Oh, really?
An entertaining and loving tribute to the slasher film genre, Behind the Mask is a criminally underrated horror parody. Number 8, Abbott and Costello meet Frankenstein.
Well, there you are. Shall I wrap it up?
The oldest film on our list, Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein sees a pair of unlucky baggage clerks, played by the titular duo, charged by the Wolfman with delivering crates containing famous horror monsters, including Frankenstein's monster and Dracula, to a museum. Naturally, when the creatures escape, plenty of hijinks and scares ensue, as the comedic characters bounce off of the serious horror ones to wonderful effect.
Let's barricade the door. Quick. Come on, get over there. Get in there. Okay, come on. Get in there. Come on. Put your shoulder to the door. Hold it tight. Barricade it. He can't get in.
The film combines giants of both the horror genre and classic silver screen comedy into one unique package. It has rightfully often been called one of the funniest movies ever made.
The next time that I tell you that I saw something when I saw it, you believe me that I saw it. Oh, relax. Now that we've seen the last of Dracula, the Wolfman and the monster, there's nobody to frighten us anymore.
Number 7, The Final Girls. While multiple movies on our list feature characters who are aware of horror movie cliches, The Final Girls takes this concept to another level entirely.
Okay, so we're in the movie.
Max Cartwright and her friends find themselves inside the slasher film Camp Bloodbath, a movie starring Max's deceased mother.
Oh, hi. I'm Nancy. What's your name?
The various ways in which the characters demonstrate awareness that they're in a movie, from their attempts to subvert the course of the plot, to even interacting with the titles, are all hilarious and make for an excellent parody of the trappings of horror cinema. There's even some heart to be had. As the film has fun with common tropes, Max also has the opportunity to gradually accept her mother's death.
Max, I'm not lost. I'm right here, right? You'll always know where to find me, okay?
Number 6, Zombieland. This zomcom follows a group of 4 survivors of a zombie apocalypse as they travel the country in search of family, safety, and Twinkies.
Not just any box of Twinkies, the last box of Twinkies that anyone will enjoy in the whole universe.
The movie's more comedic take on the zombie apocalypse is a riot with a ton of visual comedy and over-the-top violence.
And why am I alive when everyone around me has turned to meat? It's because of my list of rules. Rule number 1 for surviving Zombieland: cardio.
There are also some great running gags, like the rules of Zombieland, as well as some surprising cameos that you'll want to watch on repeat.
Bill Murray, you're a zombie?
Add to this an abundance of infinitely quotable dialogue and a cast of memorable and endearing characters, and you get a horror parody so good that people were willing to wait an entire decade for a sequel. Number 5. What We Do in the Shadows. New Zealand has actually produced a surprising number of horror parodies and comedies, but What We Do in the Shadows is easily our favorite. Filmed in a mockumentary-style format, the film follows a group of vampire roommates whose lives are being documented by a film crew.
Guys, I think that we're not all pulling our weight here. We're not just pointing the finger at you, Deacon. You're a cool guy, but you're not pulling your weight in the flat.
The vamps' varied and quirky personalities, as well as their interactions with their friends in the outside world, of which they are incredibly ignorant, are all hysterical. While it's more a slice of life story than anything heavy on plot, the numerous darkly funny scenes will bleed you dry of laughter.
Yes, now Google it. Stu is the first human friend that I've had for a long time. With humans, there is a tendency to die.
Yeah.
Number 4. The Cabin in the Woods.
The board is locked! Oh, let's get this party started!
Initially set up like a stock horror film, complete with a group of teenagers being menaced by supernatural foes in the locale from the title, The Cabin in the Woods swerves typical conventions in interesting and funny ways. Unbeknownst to the teens, they're being manipulated by a mysterious organization who deals in horrors to protect humanity. The attitude of the technicians, in contrast to that of their intended victims, leads to a lot of comedy, as does the latter's gradual realization of what's going on.
I'm the boss of my own brain, so give it up.
Darkly funny, legitimately terrifying, and bitingly insightful into the mentality of the horror movie audience. The Cabin in the Woods uses familiar trappings to say something new, and deliver a vault full of laughs and scares.
Don't take this lightly, boy. It wasn't all by your numbers. The fool nearly derailed the invocation with his insolence.
Number 3. Scary Movie.
Yo, pick up the phone. What's up? What's up?
A spoof from top to bottom, Scary Movie lampoons then-contemporary slasher movies like Scream by featuring a killer in a ghost mask menacing teenagers who seem aware they're in a horror movie, while also taking every situation to its silliest possible conclusion.
It's a coincidence.
Greg's right, Cindy. I mean, what do you think, we're in a horror movie?
Jam-packed with pop culture references, as well as plenty of juvenile humor, Scary Movie is a gut-busting comedy that spawned many sequels. And even if its follow-ups did not manage to live up to the original, Scary Movie is still a riotously funny spoof of horror films, and many other movies besides.
Did I know you did last summer make any sense? Don't think so!
Number 2. Shaun of the Dead. This movie follows Shaun, whose dead-end life is completely upended when the dead begin to rise. The dedicated slacker rises to the occasion, but his attempts to rescue his loved ones go wrong in the funniest of ways. A spoof and tribute to the classics of zombie cinema, with Edgar Wright and Simon Pegg's signature snappy visual humor and dialogue, the film is an absolute blast, boasting quotable dialogue, fantastic action, gore, and one of the most creative uses of a Queen song ever put on film.
Okay, John, it's time at the bar.
Shaun of the Dead isn't just a spectacular horror parody, it's also one of the finest comedy films ever made. So what else could top this slice of fried gold?
How's that for a slice of fried gold?
Yeah, boy!
You know what? I recommend using this list as a playlist to prep for Halloween or like just the weekend or whatever. Hey, it would be a great binge watch sesh. But number 1 is one of my personal favorites, as I've said before, so let's see some honorable mentions and then you will find out what we've chosen.
I get this sense that he's,
That he's evil incarnate.
Yeah.
You need someone special. Someone who can take on a heinous monster and stop him in his tracks and take him to justice. That would be me. Whoa!
What happened to your furniture, cuz?
I don't think he's quite dead enough yet to bury him.
You don't think he's quite dead enough yet to
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1. Young Frankenstein.
Are there any questions before we proceed?
I have one question, Dr. Frankenstein.
That's Frankenstein.
This Mel Brooks movie follows the grandson of Victor Frankenstein, Dr. Frederick Frankenstein, or Frankenstein, as he inherits his infamous relative's castle and reluctantly decides to carry on his work.
Well, there it is. Home.
However, rather than chills, Frederick's story is an absolute masterpiece of comedy and a loving parody of the Universal Frankenstein films, to the point where it even includes some of the same props. With an all-star cast of comedians at the top of their game led by Gene Wilder, and full of more witty and quotable lines than you can shake a hand at, Young Frankenstein is a movie that's even more fun than a roll in the hay.
Hello. Would you like to have a roll in the hay? It's fun! Roll, roll, roll in the hay.
Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent clip from WatchMojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.